All right. Locked up inside Tim's coin shop.
Wherever you can use silver and gold, use silver and gold. Make sure you have enough that you can protect yourself. But if the cash goes away, I mean, that's end of time stuff. That's really bad.
Did you know that SD Bullion is giving away a monster box of 2023 Silver Eagles? Sign up today at sdbullion.com/sweepstakes.
It's closed. It's quiet. The phone isn't ringing. There's nobody in line. And I do have to ask you a couple questions. First of all, with all that's been going on with the banks, the trouble we're having with that, the trouble we're having with inflation, the trouble we're having with the dollar, the global de-dollarization that is going on with nations all over the place, is cash still king, or is silver and gold where you really want to have your wealth?
Okay, considering the value of the dollar, and not these silly things. These are like ones used to be 20 years ago, literally. You do the math on them, these are cheap. Cash is essential. The problem is the Federal Reserve, this administration, has let the rest of the world do away with a reserve currency. And, not all at once, but the alignment between Russia and China, then both of them going to the Middle East. And they have, in talking about joining their digital currency, they have gotten bitter enemies like Saudi Arabia and Iran to come on board. And they're actually shaking hands and meeting together.
China's brokering that too.
Why not?
That's crazy.
Okay.
I know, but if I told you that 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that.
How about 2 years ago? What country in the world controlled the oil industry? Yeah, as of that meeting between China and Iran and Saudi Arabia, China now controls the oil industry. And, Russia has lots to contribute to that. China, they somehow convinced Biden to cough up our strategic petroleum reserves to give to them. I mean, this is the biggest diplomatic failure in the history of this country. And it's going to get a lot worse because China has thousands of gold mines, little gold mines in Africa, thousands. Okay, they have controlled the mining output of several countries in South America. No country in Asia is going to take on China. So what do they have on their side? Well, they have 3/4 of the world's nuclear powers on their side. They have basically, except for the United States, the rest of the territory in the world on their side. And they don't intend to wage nuclear war, or they could, and probably kill us off, and probably have the technology now to protect themselves. But they are in the midst of starting an economic war with this country.
Oh, yeah.
And they intend to turn this country into a second-rate third world country. And it's very easy because we have an open border in the south. We have millions of people we don't need. We have kind of an armed border with our northern neighbor. And, you can't get into Canada without presenting credentials, without taking a test. And, if you don't pass the test, turn around and go home.
Not so here.
No, you just open the doors and let everybody in. If I were governor of Texas, I would definitely have shut this down a long time ago because it's destroying Texas. And Texas, if I wasn't living here in New Hampshire, where all my kids grew up, I would live in Texas. I love Texas. I mean, there's more in Texas to see and do than anywhere on the planet. How can you let, what's it up to, 15 million people walk across the border into your state and do nothing about it? All this has been done with executive orders. If it's not passed by Congress, why is anybody abiding by an executive order from a very strange, I don't want to say what I think about him, but a very strange president who doesn't seem to be running the country. And I'd like to see exactly who is running the country. But opening our borders and letting millions of people in is, what is that? That's an impeachable offense. I mean, not respecting U.S. law. I mean, when you're president of the country, aren't you supposed to protect the people and abide by the Constitution? I don't get it. For some reason, they're letting it happen. It's not good for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a raving communist, leftist, whatever. It's not good for anybody. And, then you have the bailouts for banks.
Yes.
Who are you bailing out? Oh, your billionaire campaign contributors. Get a grip on this country. What is going on?
Cash is essential.
It is essential.
And we can't give up cash. But
if you give up cash, you give up control of your life.
We give up freedom
to some evil people.
We give up freedom.
All your freedom. Yeah, it means it's.
So should we be looking though at silver like our new cash?
Well, yeah, but it's not yet. So wherever you can use silver and gold, use silver and gold. Make sure you have enough that you can protect yourself. But if the cash goes away, I mean, that's end of time stuff. That's really bad.
And that leads me to something I want to give you from one of my subscribers. His name is George. And yes, it's the t-shirt that I'm wearing right now, Tim. So why don't you take this? George wanted you to have it.
I read it without my glasses.
I know. Well, it's ancient Greek. Molon labes. Or labe, sorry. Molo. I can't even pronounce
Your
it.
Greek is excellent.
I know. Molon labe, and it means come and take. It was what King Leonidas said to the Persians when they told him to lay down his arms. He said, come and take.
Okay.
And I think that translates to
certainly.
our days.
It does. It
right?
definitely describes the cash.
Come and take our guns. Come and take our cash. Come and take our gold and silver. Come and take our liberty.
Okay.
And then see what happens with true
this
patriots.
Supercomputer that's supposedly in Utah, wherever it's supposed to be, where a lot of people who are, techies like yourself are saying, well, they're actually logging all your cell phone traffic, all your text messages, all your emails. They're all on a computer out there in Utah. And, when we're sitting here talking about gold and silver, and Siri says, I don't know the answer to that. Who asked you? Well, nobody did.
Now, has that ever happened to people watching this right now? Because it has totally happened to this.
It happens to me all the time.
It happens
all
to
the time.
Right?
And so, I assume they're watching everything we do. I had a couple who was in here. The woman works for a big bank, a great big bank. And she said, yeah, they're tracking those deposits. They're tracking those withdrawals. And, when I have to write a whopping check to the IRS this year because there's not enough time in my life to do the taxes properly. Mm-hmm. So I overestimate every year. And this year it's going to be a whopping check that I write to them. Well, every time I go over to my bank and make a deposit, let's say I'm going to write a check for, $30,000 or $40,000. I got to have that money in my account. Yeah. The only money I have at my disposal is cash. Okay, because that's what my customers pay when they come in here. They want to pay cash. Yeah. They don't want receipts. I tell everybody, I said, if you're going to go near $10,000, you're going to fill out paperwork for the IRS. Right. So they stay away from $10,000. But nobody's doing anything illegal. But to write a check to the IRS, I've got to put this stuff in my bank. If I take $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to the bank, and I've got to take many times that, they look at you like you're a criminal, like you're some kind of drug cartel. And that is a problem, because more and more banks are asking people when they take money out to buy gold, oh, what do you intend to do with this money? It's none of their damn business, but they are convinced it is their business. Okay,
They believe it's their business. The government believes it's their business to know what everything we buy, everything we sell.
Yeah, and let's take the $10,000 rule that was put in 1970.
Yeah.
I bought a car, a Volkswagen, in 1970 for $3,278. You could buy 3 cars in 1970 for $10,000. That rule is still in effect, okay? So if you get on an airplane and you're going to visit your relatives in England, and, I'll convert it to pounds when I get there, and you have $10,000 in your briefcase, that is considered illegal. Okay, and that can be confiscated. All right, if you go across the Canadian border, they ask you how much money do you have. If you say, I don't know, about $9,000, they're going to pull you aside and go through your luggage, because you can't go across that border with $10,000. If you get stopped in a car accident, let's say somebody rear ends you on a highway, and that little box that you had some cash in falls on the floor, and if the officer looks in there and he says, please get out of the car, he can put the cuffs on you and investigate the cash. There's so much built into the Patriot Act that we don't know about. And unfortunately, in this state, we have 2 congressmen, 2 senators who don't read any bills. So they don't care about the ramifications of the bills they're voting for.
I don't think our state is unique.
And every time I've tried to find out what's in a certain bill, I get come up against a complete dead end. Okay? Now, is it coincidental that they're Democrats and they're told not to tell anybody what's in a bill, or they don't want to read it because they're lazy? Or what's the reason they don't read bills? What's the reason that if I go to put $200 cash in my 82-year-old sister's account, why they want to see my license, my Social Security number? They want to build a case for the IRS right there while I'm standing there putting $200 in my sister's account. I mean, this has gone far enough, and it's going to go a lot farther. And the people need to wake up and protest. They need to call their congressman and say, okay, what's in the so-called Inflation Reduction Act that I don't know about? I want to know what you know is in that bill. And if you didn't read the bill, I would like you to send me a copy of that bill that you voted for that you didn't read. And people need to hold their representatives accountable for everything, because we're approaching end of times, and we may not be saved at the end, okay, because they're doing so much destruction in this country and they don't seem to care, and people really need to wake up.
They don't care. And a lot of people are going to comment right now saying it's all part of the plan, Tim. It's all part of the plan to reshape this country's core, its very foundation, to break it down and not necessarily build it up, but to tear it down. Tear down our currency, tear down our freedoms. What happens when they come and try to take our gold and silver, or our money, our cash, digitize it?
Well, they're going to try to get your guns first, so you won't be able to protest.
Yeah.
It's simpler than that. We should not let it happen. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a congressperson. Everybody will be under the same thumb. Everybody. It won't matter if you're a communist agitator or a leftist and you're part of the in crowd. Everybody will be under the thumb of a government if you don't protest now. And it's not as simple as going on the street waving a flag or a sign or something. You need to contact your representatives and say, I need to know what's in this bill you voted for, that bill you voted for, this bill you voted for. I want to see break it down for me. What do you know about these bills? I don't think they can answer any questions, but that needs to be done. And
Some staffer's going to
If
say,
people-
"Oh, well, we'll look at that and get back."
Yeah, I mean, they've already done that to me. So well, you can call the Washington number. That's why I called this number. You're here in this state. But they don't care. They need to start asking representatives, are executive orders law? And they need to get an answer. If an executive order is not a law, what obligation do we have to follow this executive order? Let them tell you that. Because if these people who represent us in Congress don't understand the Constitution, it's about time somebody brought it to their attention.
Well, one of the executive orders that Biden signed last March, a year ago, was the one for central bank digital currencies. And that was an executive order that has been challenged now more and more. More Republicans especially are standing up. Even the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is speaking out against it. So I'm starting to see a groundswell of people saying that, no, we got to push back on this.
Well, a lot of people are taking care of themselves, and they should. It's time we stop swallowing the nonsense that they're trying to feed us. And I mean, it's everything. I mean, I was so disappointed after the shooting in Nashville. The president implied that the victims were the trans community.
Oh.
That's so unfair. I mean, this is when some Christian children are shot down. That's what you need to recognize,
Yes.
and not the trans community. I'm sorry to say, we're not a split country. We never were a split country, but there is a movement on the left that is trying to convince us that we are a split country.
Yep.
And if the president doesn't like Donald Trump, tough. I don't like you.
Okay. Why don't we let you pack up, put the cash away, put the gold and silver away? Man,
It was an interesting day.
Oh, that was a fun day. What a beginning to that day. That was cool. You deserve that ovation. You did. That was so cool.
I hate being late, but
No, don't worry about
I
it.
have to do the banking. I have
Don't.
to do some. I had to take a package to FedEx.
I wish I could have helped there. I
everything.
only got the post office delivery done, but if you need other help, we need to talk about how I can help you out. But
Yeah, that's why I adjusted my hours because I never get out of here late.
sure.
But it's a lot easier to run the errands in the middle.
Finish up. Let's get something to eat.
Sounds
and
good.
thanks again.